To you live.
Yes, live.
Welcome to the Ref Room.
Hockey talk for parents, players, coaches, and fans.
Text everyone you know. Facebook, chat, tweet, buzz, bling. I don't know. Just do what you have to do.
This is the Ref Room with Scott and Brad.
Come on, come on, come on. It's about to go down.
The Ref Room starts right now.
It does start right now, and we are joined with a special guest today. We have Brett joining us. Brad is out a little under the weather, I guess, with all the weather changes going on. So he's taking the day off, and Brett was kind enough to step in here. So I want to welcome everybody. It's Wednesday. As you know, we do this every Wednesday right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. It is called The Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin Silz, and my special guest today is Brett. Thanks for joining us. Glad you could be here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. You're always fun to have on the show, so we're going to have some fun today. If you guys are new to the show, if you're just joining us, please type in the comments section that you're new and say hello and tell me where you're coming from. And, we'll be happy to take questions and all that good stuff today because we're going to kind of fly off the cuff. But there's a couple things happening in the NHL I want to start with. And, of course, the first one affects the Blackhawks because Mr. Shaw has decided to retire at the ripe old age of 29 years old, which is pretty scary. He's a young guy, and, I'm really sorry to see him go. He's been a fan favorite here for a number of years when he was here before with the team, winning 2 Stanley Cups and coming back again. And, it really breaks my heart to see guys that age having to step out of hockey because of concussions. And, we see this. I'm sure a lot of this is even from playing youth hockey. I got to think that, when he played growing up and, getting banged up all those years, it's contributed as he's gotten to the NHL and continued to get banged up because he's one tough guy and, just a hard worker out there, and he pays the price for it. I mean, when you start losing guys that are 29 years old, that's scary.
Yeah, And head injuries are no small thing. I mean, when you're talking about the buildup of contact and the way that the guy plays, unbelievable. This is prone to happen, and to see you have to hang up at this age is tough. It's tough to handle. Super glad that he's here for 2 cups, and just such a big contributor. I watched the video. I'm sure you probably did too. It was making the rounds on social media, but as you kind of look back and you look at their career, and you just realize, like, I hate to call him like a bit of a rat, but holy smokes, just makes a huge impact. And he'll definitely be missed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, we're all sad about that. I mean, most of us here in Chicago are all Blackhawks fans, as you know, and, we love hockey in general, but, we don't like to see anybody that has to step away from the game too soon. I mean, it's been a tough year for the Hawks with Taves being out and other injuries. I mean, they're just struggling. I mean, they need everybody they can get, all hands on deck. And, teams are starting to now get playoff berths. And, I'm not sure the Hawks are going to make it this year. There's some other big news going on, too, in the NHL, and that is TV rights are changing. The Hawks have been on NBC for many, many years and the NHL. But, there's a new deal, and Turner Sports and HBO Max, it looks like they've come to an agreement with like a 7-year deal that we're going to now start seeing live games streamed. I think they can stream about 80 so games a year starting next season, including the Winter Classic, and that's going to be on HBO Max. So we're going to be seeing games in places we're not used to. So some of you guys may have to adjust your streaming programs or your cable TV situation to accommodate that. But yeah, there's definitely change on the horizon, and change is always good. I'm sure they're going to do a great job, and I don't know if that's going to affect all the broadcasters that they have, or if they'll have the same people and bring them on board, or if we're just going to kind of see a new way of doing things. Because I know ESPN used to have NHL, and they're getting it back as well. The big deal is too with ESPN. So a lot of changes coming for the 2021 season, or I should say the 21-22 season. I can't believe this season's already over. But yeah, so again, if you're just joining us, we've got Brett here today. Brett is a little under the weather with this weather change, so we're giving him the day off. And Mr. Gaffney has checked in, and he is welcoming you.
Oh, yeah.
What a legend. Look at that. Bert Stanley is a legend. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
is that your new nickname that we don't know about?
No, I have a history of being called everything but my name. So
does that come from the coaches or the players?
A little bit of everybody, fellow officials, coaches, players, everybody. They just like that one guy, right? Starnley or something like that. So anyway.
Yeah. So I got a couple pet peeves I want to kind of get off my chest today. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about, and we're going to give Brett the opportunity to do that too. One thing that I was really curious about, are we missing something? And when I say that, we just had New Trier in the high school national championships, and they got to the finals. They lost to a team from North Carolina. They had a men's senior 40 and over elite tournament going on like a week or two ago down in Florida. And who ends up winning the tournament? North Carolina team. Is there something I'm missing? Like, has hockey gotten that big in North Carolina that we got all these tough championship teams down there that we don't see on a regular basis? Because I've only seen some of these teams that have come in from the East that are like put together. We'll call them showcase type teams or select teams, as they like to be called. But, I've seen some of these guys come in from like Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, places you just don't expect to be, the big hockey areas. But there must be some really good hockey going down in North Carolina. You know about this?
So I've had a little bit
Uh-oh.
Some of the junior Canes and such were out there doing well, recruiting heavy in some of the, I would say, the lower level junior leagues. I've seen some of that stuff. But I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of Pope Francis. I thought they were from Massachusetts. I thought they were from Springfield.
You know what?
Maine.
Yeah, Mr. Gaffney has chimed in. See, he actually did the game. Somebody told me they were from North Carolina, so they're from Massachusetts, from Springfield. That makes a lot more sense to me. That definitely makes a lot more sense. So thanks for that, Scott, for clearing that up. Yeah, but I do know that senior tournament was guys from that area, and I was just shocked to hear that. So I don't know. They might have a lot of
theory on that.
A lot of East Coast transplants.
My theory is those are they're. I think someone told me this one time. I can't take credit for it, but those are called tweeners. They're people from the north that go down to Florida and such for the winter, and as they're driving back, they discover the Carolinas, and then they stop in between. And they make a life there for themselves. And I have a feeling that's what we've seen. We see a lot of Northerners that have stopped in between, made a life down there. So you've got men's league teams that are crushing it. And then you've got people that are discovering the Carolinas to play. And a lot of youth hockey opportunities are popping up there, just like we see out in Las Vegas and out west and down south. There's just a lot of youth hockey starting to come up now. It's taken a number of years, but as soon as that groundswell of youth that happened a while back they're now getting to the ages, the late teens, and the hockey's getting real good.
Yeah, Nashville's got a lot of people that have transplants from the East Coast. A lot of New Yorkers have moved down there. I know I had one of the firemen teams from Nashville about 2 years ago at a tournament, and wow, they were really good. And they're basically all New Yorkers that have relocated to Nashville. So I know that's gotten really popular down south. A couple things that I did want to kind of talk about today, just real quickly. I got some pet peeves, so I'm going to get some stuff off my chest today. I don't know how many of you guys have been doing games recently. Every game, stick knobs coming out of the stick onto the ice during play, and sometimes multiple times. Sometimes the same guy 3 times during the course of like a period. I don't think anybody's going to trip and fall and kill themselves off that thing, but it's just frustrating me that nobody knows to put a piece of tape over that little black plastic piece that comes with your $200 stick.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Like, I just don't get it. And I know they have the new wraps that are on there with you just pour hot water on them or use the heat gun. All it takes is just, about an eighth of an inch over the top to just kind of wrap that knob into the top of the stick. But just over here, I have my referee closet where all my gear is kept. I have a Ziploc bag. I think I have 15, 20 of those knobs in there.
Really?
Of all different brands. I just pick them up as they fall into the ice, put them in my pocket, and get home and reach in my pocket. There they are.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just drives me crazy that, coaches, teach your players how to take care of their stick, in terms of like how to tape a stick. I mean, there's no reason for that to be happening all the time. The other thing that I've noticed, that's really petty, obviously, but I've noticed a lot of the headgear coming off this year. And when I say headgear, I've been reffing, this is my 9th season. In 8 years, I never saw a goalie's face mask or helmet come off. And I have seen it numerous times this year. And I don't know why we're seeing so much of it. Equipment's not being worn properly. Straps are not holding very well, whatever the case may be. It drives me crazy. It's a safety hazard. I fear for one of these goalies that, it's going to happen when a player is shooting or whatever, when he's down on the ice. But I've seen it way too many times this year, and it's something I have not seen over the years. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you can put in the comments, have you had a goalie's headgear come off this season? I'd be very curious to see.
Yeah, I haven't had much of the goalie's headgear come off. I'll tell a story about this in a second, but I've seen a lot of the player stuff. No one's wearing chin straps. They're wearing one of their cage buckles on their helmet.
Is this men's league or youth? Because I'm on these guys. If it's youth, they're not staying on the ice if they don't have a chin strap or their face mask or their cage properly attached. I mean, you were getting sent off if you can't get it on like immediately.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It's like the face-off violations. I feel like I've gotten better on my face-off procedures, but as I'm looking around, what I'm seeing is all these straps hanging off. So we're taking a long time because they either got to fix it or, like you said, get off the ice. We had this situation just the other night where a kid, the whole button piece of it was just missing out of his helmet.
Yeah.
And I just think that people have become lax. They're just so happy to be playing hockey coming out of this we're still in the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're playing and they've just become so relaxed. And to be honest with you, as I look around, I think some of the officials are also becoming a little more lax about it as well. Hey, we're just happy to be here. Not really. We got to keep this thing. We got to keep this thing safe.
Safety is paramount. I mean, you've got to look out for player safety all the time. And, this is something that drives me crazy. And men's league, I don't know why these guys don't want to wear chin straps. I just don't get it. I mean, you have some guys that don't even have strap attached to their helmets. Like, dude, you need to get off the ice. You can't buy a helmet that doesn't come with a chin strap. They cannot sell you a helmet without a chin strap, basically. And,
That's right.
And unfortunately, I mean, okay, you're playing in the B League, the A League, you played some big time hockey, I'll say something. If you don't want to put it on, it's not a good idea. But you got guys that are playing in like basically a D League or a C3 league. They're almost just coming out of learn to skate. And it's like, you really need to have it. I'm going to insist you put that strap on. Because I'm afraid, one of these guys is going to fall. They're going to go to the boards. The helmet's coming off. It's not going to be a pretty situation. So, guys out there, I encourage you to, take a proactive stance and get these guys to put their chin straps on. That's another one of my pet peeves this week. So I've got a couple of them. So I'm going to keep going. I'm on a roll, But,
keep rolling.
Well,
That's a good PSA, I think.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of refs that look for the J clips on the helmets, which the cage. And for those of you that don't know what a J clip is, it's about this big and it's got a little hook on it, but it's the part that's on the front of it, and it's where the cage fits into the helmet, and it prevents it from like going too high up or too like jarring, so that it like locks in. But I know we have some refs that are very diligent about checking for J clips as they're watching as well, and that is something that they are supposed to have. And you will find a lot of teams where guys don't have them on their helmets, and it's a safety issue. So just a couple of things that really bothered me this week that I wanted to talk about and touch on. And have you got anything that drives you crazy when you're on the ice, Brett?
The biggest thing I think that's driving me crazy, and we probably talked about this in the past, or at least maybe not with me, but at least on the show, is all of the sticks hanging over the boards constantly. I'm okay with the players standing up and being in the action and being part of it and being present, but it's not so much, as a linesman, the near bench that you're on a lot. It's in like the two-man system. It's the bench behind you when, you're trying to keep that play in front of you and everybody's so excited and you got these sticks coming across and you're going into the zone entry and you don't know what to expect when you're getting back there. And that's really what bothers me the most, is all of the dangling off the boards. Like I said, I'm all in for everybody being excited and being present and part of it, but it's dangerous.
But have you ever noticed, like, some of the teams are very well disciplined? They sit on the bench, and you can see it. These are the higher level teams. They're sitting on the bench. The coach is in control back there. Nobody looks like they're, like having a party over at the bench and sticks everywhere and nobody's paying attention. But, you do notice these things. The really good coaches that have really well coached teams, typically those guys are sitting on the bench. They sit just like they do in the NHL.
Exactly.
That's how you sit. There's not four guys standing up ready to jump off because they might get a shift in the next 3 minutes. It's like, boom, they know when to go. And you watch these teams, these are the teams that take advantage of, in a 3-man system or a 4-man system, where they get that last line change, and they're very organized in the way they do things and the way that they come out on the ice. They're prepared. They're ready to go. They know when their shift is. It's their turn, even if they're changing on the fly. And my hats go off to these coaches that do a great job with that. I think that's a real skill that needs to be taught to players. And, we talk a lot about stuff on this show with regard to players and coaches and the referee situations, obviously. But, this is something that I'd like to see more coaches focus on, like the discipline on their bench. I think that it looks great when you see a team that's like sitting there and they're just so well organized. It's not just the play on the ice, but it's everywhere that you are in the building, whether they're walking in the building and they're all dressed up and, they work out together and they do things together. And it just looks like a team out there. I think it really sends a great message.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it sends a message to the other team that they're playing too. It's super intimidating when you see the discipline of some of these teams. I mean, I've had experiences where there's some of these coaches have such full control over their teams. It's super impressive.
Yeah. And
you know that you do not have to worry about it. You have a conversation with them and it's a conversation.
Right.
You have a conversation with their players and it's a conversation. It's never it might be emotional, but it's never just somebody flying off the handle. They're in total control of the moment. And that is,
that's
really
great. That's great coaching because, the coaches have taught them that. They've taught a captain to come over and speak to a referee or ask a question, and they're fully entitled to that. And, I don't know about you, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with one of those guys. I love it because it just shows me that this guy is into it. He knows what his job is out there, and, it is a conversation. And I think that's something we could touch on, and that is rapport with coaches and rapport with the players. And Brad and I have talked about this numerous times on the show, but, when you get to the higher levels of hockey, you start to see the same coaches day in and day out. Let's just take, you work Central States games. You got X amount of teams in the league. Maybe you work X amount of divisions. You might work midget, bantam, peewee, and you're seeing those same coaches over and over and over again. Same thing with the high schools. And having that rapport with them is just really important. And it can just be a pleasantry, 30 seconds at the bench while you're getting the score sheet signed and you get to know the coaches a little bit and you see them over and over again. The coaches pretty much know what you're going to call. They've seen you work before. They know what your standard is. They will adjust to your standard. And, just having that rapport, you can have a discussion with the coach and it doesn't become a screaming and yelling match and coaches yelling at you from the benches. So something that, we've talked about and, taking that time to try to get to know the coach just a little bit each time. And the more you do this, the better off everybody's going to be for it. It's going to make your job that much easier on the ice.
Yep. We talk about pet peeves and stuff like that, but this is one of the things I've noticed, especially over the last couple of weeks, as hockey's kind of returned to somewhat of a normal state. You're exactly right. We're seeing the same people over and over again. And because let's face it, teams aren't fully traveling all over the place, and they're playing a lot of the same teams. The Central States is a really great example of seeing a lot of these guys. They coach the midget minors, they coach the midget majors, and sometimes all the way down the bantams. These teams all travel together, so you see them over and over and over again. They're all just having conversations. All just, hey, yeah. Brett, help me out. What'd you see there? I love your standard. What would you like to see him do in that situation? And it's just like a real quick conversation. Like, bingo, thank you so much. Awesome. I'm going to talk to him right now. And we're gone. And it's such an example for the players on the bench. They see how to talk to people, not just referees, just to people in general, to somebody at the grocery store, to somebody, anywhere. When we talk about sports being this life lesson, we just see more and more of this. We're always harping on, the negativity, but in some cases we are seeing people set the right examples, being the right role model, doing the right things. And I think some of these coaches deserve the credit for being the bigger person in doing this. So I'm seeing more and more of that, which is great.
I think it's really cool. You have some teams that are even squirts or peewees where you'll have a couple of the young players come over before the game and just say hello to you. Thank you for coming out, give you a fist bump or whatever. And I assuming they pretty much do that at every game. And I just think that's really cool. I think that's an awesome thing for a young player to do. And I think the coach or the referees, definitely view it as a positive and appreciate it. And I have a lot of respect for those young players when they do that sort of thing. I think that just really is cool. And it makes me feel good about being out there. It makes me feel good about those young players that, you know, they've taken the time to learn to do that sort of thing. And it just makes a difference in the game. It sets the tone, I think.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and it sets a tone for the rest of their life. I mean, if they're doing that, it's kind of about the muscle memory, right? If they're appreciating people at one level of life, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to appreciate people who are trying to just, you know, do the right thing, be in the right spot, facilitate great things for great people, sports or whatever it is in life. You know, it's like I said, it's not just about hockey or anything like that. It's, are we appreciating those in our lives that are doing the things that we don't realize that they're doing? Yeah, we're all officials, and we all do this because we love it. We're getting rich doing this.
Well, you know, one of the things that Brad always says, he goes, they don't hate the official, they hate the uniform. You know, they don't hate you, they hate the uniform. And that's really it's very true. I mean, I get it. You know, you are the opposition in their way sometimes. And, you know, they may not agree with every call that is made or transpires, especially in the gray areas, which is, you know, probably the penalty area. But, you know, it is the way it is. So I think if you're consistent in the way you call a game, you'll be successful out there. And again, you know, we appreciate what the coaches do with these young players and teaching them and training them.
Yep, it just makes a difference for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's a big deal.
All right, a couple other things I wanted to touch on. So we talked about the goalies and the helmets and all that good stuff. How about decals coming off the boards? I've had a couple referees say something to me like, man, you know, like some of these rinks, the decals are just coming off the boards. Like you have pieces all over the ice. And, you know, if you're skating and you catch one of those pieces, you stand the chance of losing an edge in that situation. And I'm noticing it. We notice it a little more later in the season, like this time of year going into summer, as the boards have had a lot of work and a lot of skates hitting them and that sort of thing. But there's certain rinks that have a little bit more of that than others, but it's something that also is kind of a little bit of a hazard for us. I mean, we find ourselves picking up a lot of decals during the course of a game. When I say decals, it's just little chips of, you know, like they're about this big. And
adhesive stuff. Yeah. I probably get some of that over in my thing as well, because it's constantly coming out of my pockets. I'm tell the teams, hey, I understand kind of what's going on in front of your bench here. Let's keep everybody safe. If you see something, let me know. I'll just grab it for you. Yeah. And but I was throwing it in the water bottle ledges all the time. I felt horrible for them, but that's throwing garbage in their benches. But to your point, we got to all stay safe, and those are congested areas. You don't want a ton of people fall in and everything else right in those areas.
Yeah. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is putting nets up properly. And this is so crucial. You know, referees are pretty good about putting nets up and how to do it, but a lot of times you come on the ice and high-level teams, I don't want to say what level, but high-level teams, they just leave these nets flat on the ice up against the boards. And then the guy goes around, Zambonis the rink, and you come out there and you've got like an ice block like this high, like a bump in the road. It's like a speed bump, and maybe there's 10 or 15 of them in a whole area right in the skating lane for the referees. And I don't want to say who, but I have a friend that referees, and he ended up breaking his wrist as a result of tripping on one of those at one of the rinks, and went down and you know, absolutely destroyed his wrist. And, you know, I mean, I'm very careful about it. I see some of the other guys, they get the Zamboni driver to bring the scraper out and take it off, or, you know, we all try to scrape it off with our skates or whatever. But, you know, guys, nets need to be put up properly. And the proper way to do it is to kind of make sure you're not leaving any ice or snow behind as you come over and you tip that thing up. Because if you bring the snow over with you and you tip it up, after the Zamboni's laid the water, what happens? It becomes like a block of ice over there, and it's an absolute skating hazard for the referees and for the players. I mean, you see players go down too, but especially for refs because it is our skating lane. Anything you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, so on that I've seen a lot of. I'm not sure what the deal is, but they like to. Some of these arenas, they love to put the post up on the yellow part or the blue part
on the
of
little
dasher.
Yeah, the plate. I don't know why
Yes.
they do that. I have seen that as well. I don't understand the logic behind that, and
I don't either. Yeah, that kick plate or whatever that is, they put those nets up on there. And a lot of times I think what's happening is the arena staff and maybe the ice was done, whatever. But then here's the worst part about that one. They put a warm net, maybe one that was sitting on the side, and they throw it out there. They put it on the kick plate, and then you got one edge of that bottom rail sitting in the ice that goes down, right? And it actually creates like a trough right there that you can't get rid of.
Well, we had a game. We had a game probably like 2 months ago or so. It took us an hour to do ice maintenance. It was a midget game. Came in, nets had been left out on the ice. There was no ice slot before us. It was vacant. And the slot before that, I guess, was vacant as well. So those nets sat out there for probably 2.5, 3 hours, just sitting up like they normally would. But when we took them down, it broke out chunks of ice like this. And, I mean, it was almost down to the concrete. So we literally had to bring the ZAM out twice, wait for it to like get back to a playable condition. The team had come in. They were probably an hour 15 minutes away from the rink that came into play, the home team. All these people still wanted to get the game in, so we accommodated them. It just took like an hour to get the ice back so we could actually play on it. And kudos to the coach. The coach actually worked at an ice rink, I guess, growing up. So he was very, very helpful in the process of that and got that ice back to nice playing condition. But, these are the little things that I don't think people, pay as close attention to that they probably should, because, again, it's a safety issue out there. And, for the referees, again, most of them are very diligent and know the importance of getting those nets up. I think it's more after you've had the practices, just like you have the coaches that skate the players. They have them skate tight turns in one area, and they just keep going and going and going instead of moving the pylon over and saying, well, let's go in this area. So they start carving out chunks of ice that are like this wide, the grooves, and, one zamming won't take care of that. So, it's something that coaches really need to be aware of. I know you guys like to skate your teams to death, but, move. You don't have to skate in the same area, the same drill over and over and over. You can move the drill over 10 feet or 15 feet or 20 feet or shorten the drill or lengthen the drill. But, it's something that another one of my pet peeves out there, because it's player safety. And you got teams that come on to play, and somebody's going to go down in that area.
Yeah, it's even as we do different power skating classes and different things like that, we're constantly looking for clean ice because we're working on edge work. We're working on those things all the time. And it's super important to make sure that you're not going to kill yourself out there. And we don't realize it that, during the week, most of these rinks are, whatever, probably 60, 70% practice. These guys are crushing it out there. They're working super hard.
They are.
And, when they do that, it's tough. And that kind of leads me to kind of my next thing, which is not player team related. It's these rinks that are driving the ZAM or the Olympia or whatever out there, and they're not putting the blade down.
Oh, yeah.
It just seems as though they're just scooping up snow and laying down water.
Yeah.
We had it over the weekend at a, I would say high-ish level games, which were, we didn't have an ice cut. So it made it extremely difficult. But
what level was this? Just what?
This was like midget minor, but still, we were working in a rink that had a super short neutral zone. So you see tons of transition happening in and out of there. So that we'll call that the area of like right around the red line where everybody's making extremely tight turns.
Yep.
Every center ice faceoff was a danger.
Yeah, because I think I know the building you're referring to.
You do.
Yeah. It is tough. I mean, it's tough in these buildings when you don't get that ice cut at the U15 and above. Even at the Bantam Central States level, I mean, it would be nice to have an ice cut, but I get it. But, you know, when you're working that U15, 16, 17, 18 game and there's no cut, that third period can be a little bit challenging for not just us, the players too. I mean, you watch your puck going along the bench area and it stops sliding because it's so snowed up. I mean, they need the shovel people to come out, but that's never going to happen. Yeah.
In
Brian
that area,
says,
I feel like
Brian's checking in. Let me get this mouse over here. Sorry. Bring up Brian's comment. Brian Smolak checking in with us. He says that ice was terrible. Well, it happens. You know, even the best buildings have challenged ice from time to time. So, you know, I thank you for that comment, Brian, and keep working hard out there, my friend. Always good to see you. Anybody else that wants to throw some comments in here or has some questions? Maybe you got a pet peeve when you're out working the games, something that you'd like to see changed. We're going to bring it up today. So just talking a little bit about some of the things that drive us a little crazy on the ice when we're out there working. So continue on with your story there, Brett. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I actually, so the ice is one thing. I actually had let's go back real quick if you don't mind. Talk about the helmets, the chin straps, the goalies. I kind of mentioned I had something on the goalie piece. Is more and more what I'm finding is the goalies don't actually have a chin strap. They've gone and cut it out of their mask. And so two things for all of us out there. As we're down there, we're talking to the goalkeepers, we're getting the pegs in. It's probably a good best practice to have a conversation with him, ask him about his chin strap, and then as you're having that conversation, check his mouth guard. Because I'm going to say 85-90% of these goalies, one, don't have a chin strap, and probably 99% aren't wearing a mouth guard.
Yeah. I had a guy literally like 2 weeks ago. He got, they wear the plastic throat protector that drops down. I had a guy have one of those get shattered during a game. It was a men's league game, probably a little older piece, but he took a shot on there, shattered the thing, and now he's got like this broken thing hanging down, like ready to. He had to go over the bench, and the poor guy, he's got these. They put these things on with skate laces, so he's got like a waxed lace.
Yeah.
In like 4 different spots holding this, and there's like no way to get this off. We literally had to go to the bench, find a guy with sharp skates, and cut the thing off in 4 different locations to help this guy so he could get back to playing. And he's like, yeah, I thought I needed a new one. Well, you definitely need one now, because there was no way safety-wise he could continue to play with that thing on his mask hanging down on his neck. I mean, it was... these are the things that we've seen this year. Honestly, these are things I've not seen in 9 years of officiating. I've never seen that happen before, where one of those things gets shattered. So crazy stuff.
I've not seen that. When they get hit there because it's loud.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of guys taking it off the face this year. A lot. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually had a. This isn't Tales of the Men's League, but. I haven't been doing a ton of men's league, but I had a goalie take off after the overtime winning goal in a men's league, rip his helmet off and take off, skate 2/3 of the way down the ice after one of the guys that quote unquote chirped him. But this is like things I've never seen before. Like, What are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tales of the Men's League.
Yeah. I mean,
coming to a show near you soon. Yes, Tales of the Men's League. We need I'm telling you, we need a Men's League All-Star edition of this thing, where everybody comes on and tells that tale. We've talked about that, but, so many guys just don't want to pony up the stories that they have. So,
I'm staying away from where and when and everything else, but it's just like things you see, you just can't believe it. I mean, this was a 27-goal game, so it was quality.
27. So that game is supposed to be like an hour, 15 minutes. And what was the score? 27-20?
No, it was OT 14-13.
14-13. So you have 27 goals scored in that game.
Yeah.
It probably takes you 30 seconds to reset after each one of those goals, right? Do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets
Exactly.
expensive.
Yeah, that's right.
At $10 a minute for ice time in some of these rinks, I think it's about 10 minutes. Yeah, but yeah, it's it does add up. It makes for a long night sometimes, guys. But hey, if it's competitive, if it's a 1-goal game at 14-13, it's well worth it, right?
It was. We definitely had some guys ripping shots from all over the place. It's nice stuff. The goalies just weren't good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. They just were not good.
Last shot wins. I know. I know that all too well. Something that I saw this past not season, but when we were observing some of these games, is some of these teams have going to in the youth area, going to overtime in a shootout. Where they're playing some 3-on-3. I really like that. I thought that was a lot of fun. It added a whole new dynamic to the game, and I think the players really enjoyed it. A lot of them were a little more confused as to what to do because they haven't been in a 3-on-3 situation out there. And there's a lot of ice, and it's very wide open, and you can just almost see the panic sometimes in the situations that they get themselves into, not knowing what to do and not having, like 2 defenders back there to take care of things. But I thought overall it led to some really great hockey and some really great opportunities, and it was fun. And a lot of those games ended in a tie, and that went to a shootout, which added some more excitement to it. And something that I kind of wouldn't mind seeing moving forward. I know it's tough with the limited ice slots that they have sometimes, but pretty cool dynamic. I wouldn't mind seeing that become a part of regular hockey.
I totally agree with you. I've had a couple of those as well, and just really enjoyed the freewheeling. Whether it's 4-on-4 or 3-on-3. It's honestly, it's fun hockey to watch. It's like driveway hockey, last goal win or next goal wins from like our youth. Just freewheeling. You see guys just whipping around the net. They don't know when to change. They're gassed.
Yeah.
One change could totally lose the game for you. It's a different dynamic that they're not practicing. A friend of mine once told me, he said, listen, he says 47% of the games, of course, this is all estimation, are played in some kind of a special team situation. He goes, why don't coaches practice this more and more? He goes, and it's situations like this where we're talking about you get into a crazy situation that no one's practiced, and the kids aren't playing 3-on-3 and this and just because ice time is so expensive. So they get out there and fish out of water. But it's super exciting to watch.
That's
even
a
just
great
for
point. I agree. I mean, special teams is what wins hockey games and loses hockey games. And, typically what are goals? They're mistakes that go up on the board. That's how a team scores. There's a mistake made. So, I agree. Coaches probably should be working more on, 5-on-3. Not that you have that many of them. I mean, you might get 1 in a game or 2 in a really heavily contested game where you get some penalties. Right. You might get 1 or 2 5-on-3s. It's kind of rare. You go many games without seeing a 5-on-3, but you certainly see power plays and you see penalty kills, and those usually lead to teams wanting to decline taking the penalty because they're better 5-on-5 than they are 5-on-4. Don't ask me why, but you do see that from time to time, and makes it interesting.
It certainly does, and just understanding what to do. And I mean, that being said, I saw a note, I think it was from the Blackhawks, come out that they're doing 3-on-3 tournament coming up. I think that's awesome. Great for the kids. Work on these finer skills. I mean, going back, I don't want even to be all over the place with the topics here, but I had a squirt minor game. I had a kid try the Michigan. I mean, these kids are getting skilled.
Yes.
Skilled. And it's these situations that more 3-on-3, more just individual sessions where they can just play against other kids, where they can just dangle and try all this crazy trick shot stuff is going nuts. The dude perfect type games, I guess, if you will, where these guys are just trying ridiculous stuff. It makes it fun. Of course, it's dangerous for them because the other teams don't like it when they do that kind of stuff. But
definitely
going back to seeing this squirt minor kid try to pull the Michigan off.
Yeah.
I almost fell over.
If you saw that at a high school game, somebody pulled a Michigan. Somebody would not be happy that was receiving the Michigan. Trust me. But you're right, and I wonder why it is that it's easier, I think, for the squirt or maybe the peewees. I've seen more squirts try to pull that off than anybody, and they just pick that puck up so easily. It's just like it's so natural. I think as we continue in years here, we're going to see more and more of that in hockey because the players will have just grown up doing it for so long. It's going to be very natural to them.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, well, I know some of the other places. I mean, Johnny's has had a 3-on-3 in the summer for a long time that they've done, and I think Romeoville has one. I think they had 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 for like high school students as well. They do a little tournament down there, which is it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And the guys, they don't they take it seriously, trust me. But they dress in some rather interesting uniforms and outfits to come out there because it is supposed to be fun. It's always fun until they hit the ice and the game is within a goal or two and you think you can win this game. And then it's no longer fun for everybody. It gets very serious very fast. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Pond hockey mentality, right? It's like we're just out here having fun until then someone's, bloodied.
Exactly. I had a men's league game the other night, and just so happened the two-player, it was almost a suicide play. Players are almost going to be chest to chest. They are going to collide. And the one just decides he's not getting run over, so he puts the hands up and blows the guy out, sends him flying. Arm goes up. He's going to get the penalty. And he's like, well, how can you call that? Well, real simple. You blew the guy up. Well, what else was I supposed to do? Well, you could have gone chest to chest and taken the hit equally. I wouldn't want to take it either. I don't blame you. It's a suicide play, but you're the one that decided to blow the guy up, so you're getting a penalty for it, And I said, go home and watch the replay. Do you know the next afternoon I had the video in my email from the player, and it just so happened I was sitting at dinner eating with another referee, and he looked at it immediately. He's like, yeah, that's penalty, So we got the call right, but these guys now they definitely use their live barn. They check every call that we make, and this is at men's league level. So I can't imagine what it's like in youth hockey. I'm sure those coaches and the players are checking every call and every penalty that's called or any close play. So again, we always talk about you never know who's watching or seeing the game, but it is really true. When the men's league guys are checking their stuff that closely, it tells you how serious they are.
Yeah, I mean they're paying their money too. They want to know. I mean it's the same thing like what I do. I have all of these subscriptions, all these services. If a coach says something to me about, hey, this, that, or the other thing, I'm making a mental note. Okay, it was at 14:14 of period 2. I'm making a mental note. I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I do trust that these guys have seen a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
I do trust that they're not trying to game me. They may just have seen it different, or God forbid, I saw it wrong.
Yeah. Or they have a different angle maybe than you do. And, when you have again, we talked about rapport earlier with coaches. But when you have a good rapport with a coach and you've worked a number of their games, typically if they call you over and they say, hey, did you see this? Like, trust me, they saw it. They're not trying to get one over on you, and you probably either missed something or you had a different angle of the call, and it just wasn't in your favor in that situation. I know that there was a time in the NHL, I believe they had I don't know if it was a board of governors meeting that they had, and they had a bunch of the general managers in the room, and the NHL officials showed a couple of calls that were made on the ice or weren't made on the ice. And there was a play where a player got allegedly blown up, and there was no arm raised, and every general manager was, why wasn't that called? And then they reversed the angle. They had a different camera angle from what happened, and they showed that, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's not a penalty. But again, it's the different angle, and they've got the ability to have all those cameras so that they can see what's going on from the different angles. But it is very interesting when you have all that talent in one room that knows exactly what a penalty is and what the league expects, and they're all in like, that's a penalty. And then you find out from the other angle, oh, that's not a penalty. He barely even got touched. And
Yeah,
that's what
that's
we face, and
exactly.
we face that in a very quick, split second.
Yep, that's the exact same thing I'm talking about. Is
Yeah.
from where I was, maybe it wasn't a penalty, or vice versa. And if they're giving me information, I always try to tell some of my young partners is, people in general, you have to realize who you can trust and who you can't trust. There are going to be people standing behind the glass that are going to give you visual clues that you'll see in your periphery, and you're going to know the lunatics from the people that know what's going on. So use the information that's given to you by your eyes, not what you're hearing, but by your eyes, because people generally will react to things that are happening out here subtly, and you have to be able to pick those things up. And it's little coaches, like you notice the head coach is literally standing on the blue line. In a two-man system, the puck is super tight, and it would be an offside against his own team. And you see him flinch, and you're not looking at him. You can just see it because you keep a nice big periphery, a nice open field of vision. You can just see him flinch out the corner of your eye, and it will confirm what you feel and what you see. So you'll have three things. You feel like it's an offside, you see that it's an offside, and then you have this coach flinch, and the call's not in his favor. So use all of this information that's being given to you, and it doesn't come easy. And I'm not trying to put on a clinic here, because I've got a lot of room to go. But I don't remember who told me this, but he goes, you just have to learn who you can trust and who you can't. Once you figure that out, you'll realize that you have a lot more sources of the truth than what you thought. And that just seems to work.
Yeah. You're also going to have instinct. As you do these years and years and years, your instinct kicks in. Trust your instincts. You're usually going to be right in what you're feeling and thinking. That just comes from many, many years of experience. So, yeah, it's great advice. And, it is sometimes some of these guys are getting so big on the ice. I mean, the players are getting bigger and bigger. You have a little advantage, Brett. You're up there with them. How tall are you? You're about 6'3" or so. I don't have that luxury of the skybox view. I'm down here on the lower level. So, yeah, it gets a little busy down there, and you have to work hard to get good angles and try to be able to see everything. When you get two or three players between you, it can be a little more challenging, and you are going to miss stuff. But what's your thoughts? You like the 3-man system? You like the 4-man system? What do you think of the 3-man system? You got any personal?
I do like the 3-man
opinions
system.
and tips you might want to give to guys that work the 3-man?
So I do work a lot in the 3-man, but I generally am a linesman in the 3-man system where I see a lot of that one. I've got a lot of opportunity when it comes to 3-man. So I'm really trying to work hard right now at learning how to skate that well. I skate it hard.
Oh, you're a good skater. And
I skate
guys,
it hard.
if you don't know Brett's a really good skater, and he looks the part out there, guys.
So my problem is I'm always skating. So there's times where I've beat my linesman to the far blue line, and I need to just figure this out. And someone told me even earlier today when I was having the same conversation with them, and I said, I just got to figure it out. I overskate. Generally later in the game goes, I'm a little more tired.
Yeah.
So I tend to do a little better in that system. I like the system because it allows the players to play. It allows the referee to miss the calls that need to be missed and call the calls that need to be called. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the 4-man system gets too much. I feel like we sometimes need to let it roll a little bit. And
there's not much that's going to be missed in a 4-man system. There really isn't. It really comes down to game management at that point. It really, comes down to both officials being on the same page. I mean, they need to have the same standard, and you learn real fast with your partner what his standard is real quickly, because if his hand goes up that quickly, you'll know what you're what your standard will be for that day. So, always make that first penalty should always be a good penalty, guys.
A good one.
That sets the tone. Make that first call a good call.
Yeah, and I think the 4-man system translates well from the 2-man, where you have essentially, the 2 referees that are keeping the play between them. It's a good natural translation. And then you have the 3-man, which also I find myself becoming disconnected a little bit as when I'm running up the middle in that referee spot. I feel like I'm slightly disconnected from the rest of my crew. So I want to keep those communications open. I really try to focus on making sure that we're all working together, because I'm working on something different than what I normally work on, where I'm super focused on making sure I'm present. I'm there for any kind of, not altercation, but any coming together with players and things like that. I want to be present. I want to be in their ear. I want to have the rapport with the players so that they know, like, they can trust me. Like, no one's getting hurt here on my watch, so to speak, unless you're ridiculous. But, I don't want to be disconnected. I want to keep the connection as a referee, because I'm looking at something totally different than what I normally am looking at. And it's very focused. So those are just some of the things. I love it. I love that 3-man system. But I'm just working on my opportunities to do better in that system.
Yeah. How long have you been reffing? How many years have you got in now?
So I've only been back for 3 years, but I started when I was 12. Yeah. So I took a 20-year break. So when I came back in 18-19, that year I took the 97-98 crest off my sweater to replace it with the 18-19.
Wow. We got one of the legendary referees and schedulers checking in, the legendary Mike Wagner. What's up, Matt? There, Wags. Always good to see him. Appreciate your checking in with us. He watched us from the beach. I don't want to say what beach it was. It was a distant beach that he watched us from last week. Yeah. He likes the show, so thanks for checking in. We love you, Wags. As we do all the other schedulers out there, we appreciate what you guys do, and we know it's challenging, and you guys do a great job, and we enjoy the assignments that we get. So I can't believe we're coming up on an hour here, Brett. Brett jumped in. Brad came down sick like 10 minutes notice, and I called Brett. He jumped in today, so I want to thank you for coming in here and having a conversation with us. Certainly appreciate it. For those of you that don't know, we do this every Wednesday. You can catch the replays on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, or watch us live at noon. And if you love the show, you can support us by going to buymeacoffee.com/refroom. And you can buy us a coffee. If you like Brett today, buy Brett a coffee. He'd love to have a coffee. He's a coffee guy.
I'm a big-time coffee guy. But,
right.
Definitely support the show. Love what Scott and Brad are doing here. It's what we always love to do: hang out, talk, and I take the longest to get ready, and I take the longest to get undressed.
No, because I'm the first guy in the rink all the time, and I'm the last one out. I just love what I do. I got one more special thing I got to do. Frankie, come here. Frankie. It's Frankie's birthday today, so if you guys haven't had a chance to go over to my Facebook page, I have a picture up there. You can give Frankie a like or a comment. But I got to get her up here. Frank, come here, Frank. She's busy. She's busy doing something. Normally, here she comes. Here she is. Here's the birthday girl. Come on up here. Come on up. Let's see if we can get her up here. The birthday girl is here. Frankie's in house. She turned 4 today, so I had to get her on the show. My wife was like, "You got to get her on the show." So here's Frankie.
Happy birthday to Frankie.
Yeah.
Gorgeous dog. Gorgeous dog.
She's the best, man. Just love her. She's my best friend. All right. With that, thanks for joining us this week, guys. I appreciate it. Brett, thank you for jumping in. Brad should be back next week. We hope he feels a little bit better. And again, we do this at noon on Wednesdays. Replays are up, guys. Have a great week. Anything you want to add or last thoughts, Brett?
I hope Brad's doing better, gets well. Yep. Thanks for having me on. Happy birthday to Frankie again. Happy to come in and pinch hit. As you know, like I said, I love just talking and.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I literally called Brett like 5 minutes before showtime. I'm like, Brett, you feel like joining? And sure enough, just like a good referee, he jumped right in. So we appreciate that. you get credit for that. And Brian says, thanks, Scott and Brett. So there you go. Brian, appreciate you too, buddy. All right, guys, have a great week. Brett, again, appreciate your jumping in and bailing us out here. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great week. This is the Ref Room. Join Scott Smokin, Silz and Brad Baumruck every Wednesday for Ref Room.
It's hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Join in the fun every Wednesday at noon.
You can check out the replays on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. That's the Ref Room every Wednesday with Scott and Brad. Two guys that love to talk hockey. And Brett that likes to talk hockey. All right.